Hi loves and welcome to my channel. Today's tutorial is on this trouser piece that I'm wearing. This is a straight trouser pant. I'm going to show you guys how I assemble the pieces together to create this beautiful trouser. If you're not subscribed to my channel yet, just click the subscribe button and click the bell so you get updates when I post new videos. So I'm going to place my pattern pieces on the fabric. Can you see the front and the back trouser pieces? And my waistband is right here as well. The pattern tutorials are in the description box. I'll link them up there. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this out, and this is what I have. For the front, the zipper fly is cut together with the front trouser pattern. I've transferred my dart as well. This is the back trouser. I'm going to go ahead and keep this aside. And right here is the front. I've transferred the dart as well, as you can see. And right here is the zipper fly area. Remember I said it is cut together with the trouser. So I've just gone ahead to map that out. I'll just go ahead and mark my zip length of 5.5 inches. This is inclusive of 1/2 inch seam allowance at the top for joining to the waistband. So what I'm going to do next now is carve out the zipper fly area like so. Can you see what I'm doing? Now, this part that I'm carving out here from the crotch, I don't want that part to be pointed. This part right here, I don't want it pointed. I want it curved. This will help for easy overlocking of the raw edges around the zipper fly to crotch area to help for easy overlocking, or if you want to use a bias tape to conceal that raw edge to help for easy concealing. So I'll just go ahead and cover this excess part that we don't need. You will need to cut it out. If not, your crotch area on your trouser will not sit well on your body. So this is what it is going to look like. Can you see that? So now you can actually, easily overlock this area. So guys, I've, marked it out on both pieces. This is what I have. I'll just go ahead and overlock the edges. I used a zigzag stitch for that. So can you see? This is what I have after using a zigzag stitch. So what I'm going to do now is place them on top of each other, right sides touching, and I'll go ahead and sew only the crotch from here now by 1/2 inch up to where I want my zip to stop. That part that we have marked earlier. So that is what I'm going to do for my front trouser piece. Only sew the crotch to where I want the zip to stop. So after stitching, guys, this is what we have. I've gone ahead to press my zipper fly area by the allowance. Can you see that? By the zipper fly allowance. I've gone ahead to press it down, and I've pressed my crotch seam area open as well. So this is what we have. Right here where I have this opening, which is where I want my zip to end, I'll just go ahead and mark that. This will help for the placement of our zip. So on this zip, I have a stopper right here. So I'll be placing the right side close to that edge that I've just marked. So just see what I'm doing. The right side of the zip, where that stopper is, place it close to this edge like so. So just watch the placement of the zipper like this. And the teeth of the zip must be close to this folded edge. Ensure that it is very, very close to it. A detailed tutorial for sewing zipper fly is also on my channel. So once I'm satisfied with what I have, I'll just go ahead and pin it down, ensuring that the teeth of the zip is close to the folded edge. Can you see? And then I'll just go ahead and stitch on this side, only on the zipper fly. Very, very important. You want to sew only on the zipper fly. So I'll just go ahead and stitch very, very close to the teeth of the zip. So after stitching it down, guys, this is what I have. The next thing we want to do now is to top stitch the zipper so it lays nice and flat. So what I'm going to do now is bend the zip like this. Can you see that? Bend it like this. And then I'll take this to my sewing machine and then top stitch very, very close to the zipper teeth. The space I have there is very, very small, so I need to be careful, mindful while top stitching. So after top stitching, this is what it looks like, guys. Can you see that? And now what I'm going to do is place the folded edge, of the trousers like this. Place it edge to edge. And I'll just go ahead and pin them down. This would help the next step to be much easier for us. So it's very, very important that you pin this down. So after pinning this down, guys, we are going to stitch the zip that we haven't stitched down. We've stitched one side. What we want to do is stitch the other side. Just allow the zipper to rest on the zipper fly. Don't pull the fabric at all. and then I'll just go ahead and stitch very, very close to the teeth of the zip, only on the zipper fly. So this is what I'm going to do. And after stitching, this is what I have. Can you see that? I've stitched it down. This is how it's going to look on the right side. So the folded edge of this part would rest on the other folded line. So by the time it rests on each other, it means you've done your zipper fly right. So what I'm going to do now is, mark out that zipper fly shape that we normally see on trousers. So you can go with 1 inch, but I will be going with 1.25 inches. I want it to be a little wider than 1 inch. So I'll just mark 1.25 inches. Come up here, mark 1.25 inches like so. So I'll be marking it straight like this, but as I'm getting towards where my zip ends, I'll need to curve it out. So I'll just go ahead and join this point. Like I said, as I'm getting to where my zip ends, this part right here, I'll just go ahead from that line here now. I'll just go ahead and, curve it out. Can you see that zipper fly shape we normally see on trousers has formed? So this is what we have, and we need to stitch on that. So what I'll need to do next is to open this up, and I'll go ahead and stitch on what I have marked like this, ensuring that I don't cross over to the other trouser leg. That's very, very important to your trousers sitting right on your body. Do not stitch and cross over to the other side. So after stitching, guys, this is what it looks like. Can you see that, zipper fly shape? So this is what we have for our zip. We are practically done with this. I'll just go ahead and sew the darts on this trouser piece. Then I'll get my back piece, sew the crotch area by 1/2 inch, and then I'll also go ahead and sew the darts on this back pieces. So I've gone ahead to stitch them down, and this is what I have for the front piece. I've sewn the darts, can you see that? And then I've also sewn the darts for the back pieces. Can you see? I've sewn the crotch area as well. I overlocked the raw edge and I pressed the seam open. So can you see that? This is what I have. What I'm now going to do is place the pieces on top of each other with right sides touching. So that is exactly what I'm doing now. And what we want to do first is to match the crotch seams together like this. So I'm going to place them on top of each other and pin down. And what we want to do is sew from the crotch all the way down. That's the inseam now. That's what we want to stitch. Sew from the crotch all the way down on both sides like this. So I'll just go ahead and stitch them down. Then for the side seam, I'm going to match the waists together. Sew from the waist all the way down, ensuring that your knee area, thigh, hip, they are notched, for easy, placement and sewing. So that is what I'm going to do for this trouser pieces. So the inseam and the out seam. So after stitching, guys, this is what I have. I've also overlocked, the raw edges using a zigzag stitch, and I have pressed the seam open. It's very, very important that you press the seams of your fabric or your garment pieces open. So this is what I have, guys. This is what it looks like, and you can see how neat it actually looks. So what we want to do now is to hem the bottom of our trousers. So I have a 2-inch allowance for that, and I'm folding from the side seam. So I'm folding this part by 1 inch. I actually need to measure that, and then I'm going to fold it again, so making that 2 inches. So ensure that the seam matches each other, and then I'll go ahead and pin this part down. So I'll come to the other seam on the trouser leg, measure it, ensure that I have 1 inch, and then I'll go ahead and, fold it again, giving us a total of, 2 inches. So I'll just go ahead and pin it down as well, and then I'll do the same thing for the rest of the trouser leg. I'll just go ahead, fold it in, ensuring that I have, 1 inch folded twice. And once that is done, what I'm going to do is stitch just very, very close to that folded part at the top, like so, all around the trousers. So I'll just go ahead and do that, and then repeat the same thing for this other trouser. So once I'm done, guys, this is what I have. I've gone ahead to, press my trouser pieces down. You can see how neat this trouser looks already. I'm already loving this. So I'm going to keep that aside and then get on with my waistband. So here is my back piece of the waistband. I cut this on fold and I have 2 pieces. So can you see that? I have 2 pieces of the back waistband. I'm just going to go ahead and mark the bottom of the waistband for easy, placement and sewing. So for the front, I have, 4 pieces. It wasn't cut on fold. That is why we're having 4 pieces. And I'm marking the bottom so we know, which is which, and also for easy placement and sewing. So I'll just go ahead and open this up. Right here is the side seam, the side area, and right here is the center front. It's very, very important that we know that. So I'll open the other pieces as well. So I'll grab one of the back pieces and I'll be placing it in the middle, in between the front pieces, with the bottom, aligning with the bottom of the front piece. Very, very important. And then I'm going to pin down the side seam of the band together like this. The seam allowance right there, I'll just go ahead and pin it. And I'll go ahead and do the same thing for the other waistband pieces. Place the back in between the front pieces, pin the side seam together, and then I'll go ahead and stitch them down with a 1/2 inch seam allowance. So after stitching, this is what I have. I've gone ahead to press the seams open like this. So I'm going to flip one of the bands with the right sides facing me. Then I'll place it on top of each other like this, ensuring that the seams are aligned. And once I match the seams, I'll just go ahead and pin them down. So once I'm done with this side, I'll go right to the other side, ensure that it is matched, and then I'll just go ahead and pin this down. I'll also go ahead to pin the center back of the waistband. This is very, very important as I'll be stitching from the center back. So after pinning this down, I'll go ahead and take this my sewing machine from center back to side seam to center front. The other side as well, from center back to side seam to center front, so by a 1/2 inch seam allowance. After stitching, guys, this is what I have. This is what it looks like. Now I'll grab my trouser piece. I'll just go ahead and open this up. What I want to do is trim this excess zipper out, trim it off, since we don't need that and we want to attach our waistband. Once I'm done with that, guys, I'm going to just, explain this part. Now I want my waistband to have a waistband extension on only one side of the trouser piece. So what I'm going to do is trim off the waistband extension on one of the front pieces, and my waistband extension is 1.75 inch. So I'll just go ahead and mark that from that edge right there, mark 1.75 inches. I'm going to join it together like so, and I'm going to trim it off. This will still leave me with a 1/2 inch seam allowance to close this part of the waistband up. After trimming this off, I'll go ahead and sew the edges of the front waistband with a 1/2 inch seam allowance. After stitching, this is what I have. Can you see that? So I've cut off the excess bulk at the corners, but I'm going to illustrate that to you guys. So you need to grab your scissors, cut off the corners like this on both sides, and then go ahead and create a notch. This will help the edges of the band to come out nice and neat, and I'll be using my fabric scissors to poke the ends out. So just go ahead and do that. Your band is going to come out really nice. Guys, in order for our fabric to lay nice and flat and for us to easily fold this over, I'll need to do a top stitch. This fabric is not like Ankara where you can easily fold it. This fabric is raw silk fabric, so in order for me to fold this fabric easily, I'll need to do a top stitch. I've gone ahead to do the top stitch or under stitch, and this is what I have. Can you see that the waistband is folding easily? Can you see that? So the next thing I'm going to do now is to go ahead and attach the waistband to the trouser. So I'll be pinning only one side of the waistband to my trouser piece. So I'm aligning center back of waistband to center back of trouser piece. I'll go ahead and pin it down. So once I'm done with that, I move to the side seam, align the side seam of the waistband to the trouser piece, just one part of the waistband. I'll go ahead and pin that down. I'll go ahead and do the same thing for this side as well. Align the side seam of the trouser to the side seam of the waistband piece. This is very, very important in ensuring that you stitch really nicely. So can you see that the waistband, the edge of the waistband matches the edge of the trouser? So this is exactly what we want. If that happens, it means you're doing something right. So I'll just go ahead and pin that down and move to the other side of the waistband where we have the waistband extension. Pin the trouser to just one part of the waistband, and I'll be stitching this down with a 1/2 inch seam allowance from the center back to the side seam, from the side seam to this side of the waistband or the side of the trouser. Come right back from the center back again on this other side to the side seam, from the side seam to the edge of this waistband. So after stitching, guys, this is what I have. Can you see that? I've gone ahead to stitch everything down with a 1/2 inch seam allowance. Right here is our waistband extension. We did not stitch that. So can you see that the edge of the band matches the edge of the trouser? That is exactly what we want to do. But before we go ahead and close that raw edge, you need to press, the joining of the waistband to the trouser. You need to press it flat, especially if you're working with a thick fabric. This will, ensure that you close up your waistband really nicely. And then I've, press down the edge of the waistband with the seam allowance. So what I'm going to do now is come right to the center back, just fold my waistband over, ensuring that the center back matches nicely right there, and it covers this stitch that we can see here. Very, very important. So I'll just go ahead and pin that down. So once I pin the center back, I'm going to move to the side seams and repeat the same thing. So I'll match the side seam of the waistband to the side seam of the trouser and pin down. Can you see that? I'll come to this edge right here. It is folded in already. I folded the seam allowance and pressed it down. So I'll just, close that up, pin it down. Then I'll move to the other side seam, do the same thing. This is the side seam right here. I fold the seam allowance in, even though I've pressed it down, and then match it to the side seam of the trouser, pin down. Then I'll come right here where we have the waistband extension. I'll just, fold that in and then pin down. So I'm going to go ahead and stitch this down, stitch the waistband down to, finish up the trouser. And I'll be stitching on the right side, because we want the outside to, appear much more neater. I'll be stitching on the right side, and I ensure that it holds the waistband on the inside as well. So you need to be watching while you're stitching. You need to watch your stitches so that it holds the waistband really, really down. So after stitching, guys, this is what my trouser looks like. Can you see how neat it looks on the outside? Can you see that? And I've gone ahead to attach hooks and eye to, the waistband like so that it can be secure by the time we put on this trouser. So this is what it is going to look like by the time, we hook everything up. I hope this tutorial was amazing for you. I hope it was helpful to you. Please do remember to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, click the bell for notifications when we post new videos. And I'm going to be seeing you guys in my next video. Bye.